Hey guys, happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. I am so excited to be here once again. I'm always excited to be here, okay? You guys, I am we're wrapping it up with this the vow series, and I'm getting a little sad because it's been amazing just to hear the different opinions and experiences of the guests who have come on. Last week we had an amazing guest, and she talked about her name is Lisa, and she talked about through sickness and in health, And so, as you know, we've gone through each line of the vow. But you know what? Let me back up. Let me introduce myself. I am Tam. Sorry, you guys. I'm Tam. I am the CEO of Make It Rise. We build intentionally and strategically for effectiveness. And our vision, our mission is to create a movement where we're changing the view of how society has defined marriage, right? And as I always say, I understand that our definition derives from different places, right? So it may come from what you saw in your home growing up. It may be right now in your life. It may be what you've read. It may be, your mentors or people that you've seen, music that you've heard. But we want to get to what God's original design for marriage truly is. And how do we do that? By rolling out these different series and these different topics, having real live marriages come on and speak about, their ups, their downs, and how they got there and what made them not throw in the towel, right? Because the goal is for us to get you to see that it's not just you. And even if you aren't married, if you what the vow series is all about. It's about what does it really look like when you leave the altar, right? Because before we get to the altar, we're excited. Not too much really bother us, not the way it would after you say I do. But you have to remember and understand that you have to be committed to the commitment. But my question would be, what are you committed to, right? Are you committed to the health in the marriage? Are you committed to just the finances, the good finances in the marriage, right? Are you committed only when he or she loves you, right? What are you really committed to? And so that will determine how you respond to certain things that occur in the marriage. So what I've done for this series, I've asked couples and I've asked a couple of wives to come on and share their experience and their opinion about the line that I have given to them. And so today we're talking about to love and to cherish, right? To love and to cherish is a very heavy one, right? Because we all say, well, of course I love you, but okay, yeah, I love you, but what are you doing to show me that you love me? And of course I cherish you. Okay, but what are you doing to show me or show him or show her that you are cherishing that vow, that you are cherishing him or her, the man, the woman, the king, the queen that God has gifted you with, right? And I say gifted because many times we have to put it in perspective, understanding that when someone gives you a gift, let's say it like this. When someone gives you a gift, the hopes is that you will cherish it, that you will take care of it. You won't just throw it under the bed. You won't just push it in the closet. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna take care of it. You're gonna shine it. You're gonna look at it. You're gonna talk to it. You're going to appreciate it. And you're not only are you going to appreciate it, but you're gonna appreciate it and use it for what it was given to you for, right? So we can be given a ring. It was given to you to wear, right? So you're going to make sure you take care of that ring and that you get it cleaned and you don't lose it and you don't take it off and just stick it in your pocket, and, right? You're going to take care of those things. And so God has given us or given you a husband or a wife, and there are some plain things in the Bible that says what you are supposed to do as a wife for your husband, what you are supposed to do as a husband for your wife. But my question is, are we really doing it, right? Are we really doing it? So this is just another vehicle that God has given me to share those things. And when I say vehicle, we know that, when you say vehicle, you think about driving because there's a destination. There is a location that we're trying to get to. But we also have to understand that the most important thing is how do we get there, right? We all can have an opinion. We can all have a destination or goals, but the biggest thing in that is how do we get there? Which route do we take? Right? Because there are going to be some bumps in the roads. There are going to be some red lights, some yellow lights, some green lights, some stop signs, right? Lights that are out. What do you do? If the lights are out, do you keep going? Do you stop? Do you yield? What do you do? Right? And so those are the same questions that I ask when I am doing mentorship or when I am coaching a wife or coaching a couple back into the healthy area of their marriage. One more thing before I bring in our guest, you guys, I talk about these vehicles, another vehicle that I am working on to helping us to understand the true meaning of what marriage is, God ordained marriage or God's healthy way of marriage. He's also given me this vehicle to drive for those that are divorced. I'm divorced. I'm a divorcee. And so he has shared some things with me to get. And that is what I'm doing right now. So I will be releasing a book, me and 11 other co-authors. I'm excited, you guys. In October, it is called Life After Divorce, The Journey to Being Healed and Whole. And how is that related to marriage, Tam? You're talking about divorce. You're talking about marriage. Where are you at? I am still talking about being a healthy, happy, whole, and healed individual before you say I do. That's where I'm at with that. And so I'll be sharing that on next week, you guys. I'll have pre-sales out. I hope that you'll support us. But these ladies have really poured their hearts out with giving their yes to be able to share what they did as their journey of being or becoming healed and whole. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get moving with today's topic. To Love and to Cherish for this vow series, I have Mrs. Gonzalez. I'm going to bring her in, Mrs. Itzel Gonzalez. I am going to bring my guest in, you guys. This is going to be a good one. I'm excited. Okay.
Hey, sis.
Hey, honey. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. With your little beautiful stuff. I love this lady, you guys. She's so amazingly beautiful inside and out. I believe the first time we ever spoke over the phone, I felt a sense of peace just talking to you. And although some of the conversations were a little heavy, there was still some peace. There was still peace that I received when I spoke to you, which just showed me that God has had his hands over you, that he had his angels covering you, right? He was still protecting you, even though you were going through whatever you were going through. He still had your best interest at heart, and I felt it. And so I'm just honored to be able to have you here with me today to share, your experience and your opinion. But before I, get to going, because I can go, share a little bit. Let the people know who you are. Give us, a little background on you.
Well, I am blessed to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to share what God's done in my life and in my marriage. My name is Itzel Gonzalez, and it's still so fresh to say that because it's just like I'm a married woman now. Like it's 5 years we've been married, but Lord knows they have been some of the hardest years of my life, if I'm honest and transparent.
Yeah.
But by the grace of God, we celebrated 5 years in July, and I know that it's been only God to bring us this far. Because I grew up in a dysfunctional home, and I also didn't really know what a healthy marriage looked like. And I grew up not wanting to get married, to be honest. And then once I started going into church and searching for God on my own, I started hearing how God's design for marriage was supposed to be heaven on earth, and how he designed it to be something the most the best and the closest relationship to him. And so I was just like, I want that, and I really want to experience that, and I know I can only experience that with God.
Yeah.
And so my husband and I got married, and our whole story of the way we got married was all God completely. The church got together and let us get married at our church at the Bridge in Buena Park, and it was just beautiful what God did there. And I'm just grateful to be here today and just share a little bit of what God's shown me on how to love and cherish my King.
I love it. I love everything that you said. Thank you so much for sharing that. Something you said that really stood out to me. You talked about growing up in a home where you didn't see what healthy marriage was, right? And because of what you saw, you never wanted to be married. It's like I don't want that, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't know the true design, you didn't know the true definition of what God said marriage was supposed to look like, was supposed to be, right? And how it's supposed to be walked out. But it took you getting into Christ before your thoughts of what marriage is changed.
Yes.
As you said, that marriage is I always said that marriage is a direct reflection of the relationship that Christ has with the church.
Yes.
So when you learned that, when you became a believer and you had your relationship, you have your relationship with Christ and understood that's what marriage is. I want that,
yes.
Which is completely opposite from what you believe. And my God, that is what our mission and our vision is. You literally just said what my mission and vision is by your personal walk, right? Our vision is to share and show God's original design for marriage. What does that really look like? And not not with what the world say, but with what the word says. And the only way that we are able to truly walk in that is knowing what the words say. And I'm not no Bible scholar, but I do know some of the word, right? I know how to get to it if I need to. I have mentors. I have people that I can go to, and we got Google, girl. We got Google.
We got the Bible app too.
And we got the Bible app.
Up real quick.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I say thank you once again. Today I looked up the word cherish and of course love, but I looked up the word cherish. And in the dictionary, it said to hold dear. It says to feel or to show, which is action, affection. It says to keep or cultivate with care and affection. It says to entertain or to harbor in the mind deeply and resolutely. So to hold dear, that means, when we think about holding something dear, we're not letting it go, right? We're holding on for dear life. It says to feel or to show affection for something, to keep it, to cultivate it. So in this thing, that whatever you're cherishing, we're taking care of it. We're making sure that if it's supposed to be shined every Friday, we're shining it every Friday, right? We're making sure. Let's just bring it home. If we're going to work, we're cultivating. We are cherishing the fact that we have a 9 to 5. We have a job to go to, that we're receiving a check for, right? So that means that we're going to make sure we're doing everything that boss man is telling us that we need to do in order for us to continue to have a job.
Yes.
Let's relate it to marriage. What does God say that we should do as a wife or as a husband? We're going to look at those things in the Bible. We're going to make them relatable, right? Yes. I'm not going to come to you, Itzel, and be like, okay, so what do you do for your husband? Okay, then that's what I'm doing for my husband.
Right.
No. We have to make it a cookie cutter for our own home.
Yes.
Right? So serve the need of your spouse, although there is a foundational meaning for a definition for what marriage is completely, but my husband may need something completely different than what your husband needs. So when you hear the word cherish, what comes to mind? Like, how would you define cherish?
Cherish to me, and that's so good that you did that, because I had been meaning to look up the word cherish all day and it just kind of slipped, but now I was like, Lord, I want to know the exact definition. But anyway, it's beautiful. And I feel cherish to me means well, for my husband, I know that waking up and making him breakfast before he goes to work, because filling his body with some healthy homemade breakfast really gets his day started well. And
Yeah.
he really shows his appreciation when I do that for him, you know. So I wake up wanting to serve him, and then he
Yeah.
returns it back like, thank you, baby, I really appreciate it. So my one of my love languages is words of affirmation. So when
Yeah.
he comes back with those words, it's like a full circle. Like, I serve you, and then you come back and you serve me and fill my heart.
Yeah.
So it's like cherishing him and like feeding his body healthy foods, cherishing him in the way that I tell him, I appreciate you waking up early and going to work every day. I know it's hard. I know sometimes you're tired. I know you don't get the best sleep sometimes, you know. So building him up and letting him know that since right now I'm not working, like, I appreciate him
Yeah.
going and bringing home the money and paying the bills and doing things like that, because we're going through a difficult season right now,
Yeah.
you know, but we're learning that no matter the ups and downs in our finances, our love stays strong and
Yes.
intact, because we know that God has better plans for us. We know that money doesn't make or break us. We're still going to be riding on the last dollar, you know,
Yeah.
like, still be together and,
Yeah.
and just cherishing each other in who we are and what God's been like peeling back the onion, if I could say that, in the
Absolutely.
layers of the pain that we've carried since our childhood, because I know that both of us have discovered pain that we were carrying, which is why we struggled so much in our first couple years in marriage. Was just that we grew up not knowing that we suppressed a lot of childhood pain, and it was coming up now in
Yes.
our marriage. And God was able to show us and heal, is healing us. I wouldn't say we're healed completely, but he's healed us and brought us through
Yeah.
what was really like we were going in circles and
Right.
circles. And I just felt finally God broke through
Mm.
in such a in a really difficult way, but I'm grateful, and I would do it again if God asked me to.
I love it. I love the fact that you are being transparent, because that is one of the prerequisites of coming on to Let's Be Clear. I ask that all of the guests are honest, that they're open, that they are transparent, because the only way that we can help someone else that is looking at this, or they may be looking at it, you know, later on, is by being honest. I want us to understand, I want them to understand that it's not just you, right? It's all of us. We all go through things, and sometimes we have to share, right? Sometimes we have to reach our hand out, because we have to understand that what I needed when I was in those shoes is what I can be for you. So I want to share that. And so you talk about how one a few of the ways that you cherish your husband is by appreciating him, right? The things that he do, that he get up in the morning. You know, many of us think, well, you're the man, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get up. And why should I appreciate you for something that you're supposed to do? Well, if it's something that he needs, right? So you understand his needs and
Yeah.
you give him that. And he showed you in return that he appreciate that. And so that's your way of cherishing, and you said loving him. And so, of course, the Bible gives it many definitions of love, but in First Corinthians 13, 4 through 8, it says that love is patient. It says that love is kind. It says it does not envy. It says it does not boast. It says that it's not proud. It doesn't dishonor. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. And we need to pause right there,
Yeah.
because we human flesh, you know, we want to hold on to stuff, and
Yeah.
we
Sis, you froze on me.
okay. Are you there, sis?
Yes, okay, I got you.
You good now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but it, you know, it's we have to remember that holding on to things that we have, quote unquote, forgiven our spouses for, right?
Mm,
If you've forgiven, I'm not saying forgive and you're never going to remember. You're not going to remember that it occurred, but you cannot keep throwing that up in a person's face. If
yeah.
you've forgiven, so first thing would be to forgive, right?
Yeah.
Let's forgive each other for whatever said thing is. So that one is very near and dear to my heart. It keeps no record of wrong. It does not delight in evil. It rejoices with the truth. It doesn't delight in evil. So we're not going to harbor on those things that is not bringing us, that's not helping us to elevate and evolve in our marriage. But we're going to really, really shed light on those things that that will help us rejoice in the truth. And so sometimes you don't see the truth. But the truth is what God said about what marriage is. So if God said that we should have a happy, healthy, whole, and healed marriage, then that's what we're celebrating in, even when we don't see it. So we have to see what we don't see, which means our responses are going to be as such, right? Yeah. So when you talk about love, loving on your king, loving on your husband, I'm certain that you have a lot of examples as to how you do that for him and how he does that for you. But give us a couple of things that you have done in the hard time. How did you push through and still love him in the hard time? Because it's easy for us to love when things are good, when you're buying me gifts and you know, we're out and we're holding hands and we're talking and laughing and showing public affection. But when you say something that I'm not feeling, or when you go somewhere that I don't appreciate, how do I love you through that?
Okay. Whew, I'm about to start crying. Okay, so last year, my husband and I went through a rough time, and it was in January of last year before the pandemic hit. And I was just feeling like something wasn't right between us. We were not like on the same page. I had been up and down with God. I would go to church and then come back out and, you know, just slipping and sliding with God. You know, I was not firm. And I had just been feeling in my heart like that we needed healing in our marriage, but I just didn't know what that looked like. And I started feeling God, because my husband had completely shut down. He said he didn't want to go to church. He didn't want anything to do with God. He didn't want me to be praying for him before he left to work, which was something I was doing. And it just got really, really cold in our marriage. And I felt God telling, because my personality at that time, I was just like, well, fine, I'm done too. Then if you're done, I'm done. But I felt God's hand on my heart, like, keep loving him, keep doing everything that I am telling you to do right now. And I will work through him, and I will work through you if you just keep loving him. So I was still, even though he was not communicating with me, he was not coming home after work, he was not doing his side of, he wasn't completing his vows, I still said, okay, well, I was back and forth with God, and I had felt God tell me, well, you made your vow to me before you made your vow to him. So you have a covenant with me too, not just your husband. So keep your vow with me, and I'm going to take care of him. Wow. And I see all the tears. I see all the things that he's not doing. I see how he's falling short, but you continue to do what I'm telling you to do, because this is this 3-stranded cord that we said we were, that braid, that tight braid. Yeah. And I felt, okay, God, okay. So every day he gave me the strength, because now I could look back and it was all God that was carrying me through. I would wake up, make breakfast, and he would just, okay, thank you, goodbye, and leave, like with a kiss that was just like he didn't want to kiss me, you know, but right. He was doing it just not to leave me hanging. But I just knew that it was God completely there with me and carrying us through such a cold and hard season. And when I was even going as far as still having sex with him, because that was my commitment, that was my love to him, even though, you know, he wasn't initiating it, he wasn't saying no to it either, but he wasn't initiating it. So I was just feeling like, okay, God, I'm gonna win him back with all of these things, not just one, you know. And I just felt loving him through. I felt like, okay, well, I have some bad days, he's allowed to have bad days too. Maybe he's having a bad season, maybe he doesn't know how to put words to it yet, maybe he hasn't been able to express himself, he's going through stuff. And I would ask him, like, is there something going on, is there somebody else, because that's where my mind would go. And he would just say, no, I'm just not feeling it, I'm not feeling it. And it came up to June when this had been going on since January, February, March. And up until June, I was still serving him, being his wife, still loving on him and being faithful to God. And I felt God telling me, like, that's not just your husband, that's my son. So that's what allowed me also to just care for him and really cherish him during a time that he was not cherishing me back. And that's where God showed me unconditional love, you know, and even, I'm not expecting anything in return. I wasn't expecting him to, like, one day just get it. I was just like, okay, God, you're gonna come through one way or another. But it got bad. It got worse before it got better. My husband ended up leaving. He just said he needed some space. He needed time away, and it crushed my heart so much because I felt like all of this stuff I was doing, God, I was doing what you were telling me to do, God, and like he still walked out. Like, what is this? What was this? Is this how you got my back? Like, I really got really upset and bothered with God. Like, where were you at? And I felt that even through that storm, God was like, at that moment, I just sat down, like, in all my world seemed like it was in ashes around me, burning up. And I just sat down, like, I don't know what to do, God. I did everything that you told me to do. I thought I was listening to you. I thought I was doing this. And I just kind of stood still, and I felt God still telling me, I'm working on it. And that was around the time that me and you were talking. And when I remember our conversation, and you had a piece in your voice that I'm like, girl, you don't know what I'm going through. How are you so calm? You know, like, but I felt God's peace through you kind of telling me, like, it's gonna be okay, you know, like God's got it, you know. And you were just such a helpful voice during that time in my life that I'll never forget you. And I'll always hold that close in my heart, because you realize who you have in your circle when you're going through the trials, you know.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
God was just so faithful, and you know, God worked it out. He was gone June, July, and by August we were already like talking again, and he knew he made a mistake. He realized that God was you know, the only one that was keeping us together and tight, and he realized that he let go of God's hand, and that's why he was feeling confused and weird and just like disconnected from himself. He said that he wasn't feeling like he was good enough to be my husband, and he didn't understand why I was still serving him and loving on him when he didn't deserve it. And he's like, but you showed me that that's the love that I need, and you were created for me and I'm created for you, and there's no other woman that can fill that space that, you know, God made you from my rib, you know. And so I just thank God for what he's done in our marriage, and showing me how to love even when I wasn't being loved back, you know what I mean. And growing up in a super dysfunctional home, that what I saw was like, okay, you're gonna be that way, I'm gonna be that way too, or I could be worse, you know. And I just felt God really just showing me and teaching me, like, this is where you show him the love that I've poured into you.
You said a mouthful. We can end the show. No, I'm kidding. You said a lot, and it, you know, to God be the glory. You know, something that you said a few times. The word that you said a few times was serve, serve, serve. So when we think about serving, because many times as women, you know, and the word serving comes up, or submitting comes up, we tend to kind of fall on that. I'm not letting him take a step over me. I'm not letting him take advantage of me, right? I don't have a voice, and that's not it whatsoever. And when you're serving, you are doing work like Jesus would do, right? When you think about going to a restaurant, the server comes to us at the table and say, are you ready to order? If you're not ready to order, guess what you say? Oh, give me a minute. And okay, not a problem. A good server,
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen. And they'll go away and they come back. Okay, ma'am, are you ready? Can I get you some water, something to drink while you still look over the menu? They are showing us the love of God in so many ways.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you did for your husband. You continue to serve. Even when it didn't look like he deserved to be served, right? You stayed committed to the commitment.
Yes.
Those three strings, those three chords, you talked about those, and although one of the chords was no longer there, or you didn't feel like he was there, you knew that the strongest chord was there, the one that was actually keeping the other two intact.
Yeah.
And God said, if you stay obedient, because obedience is a key, if you use this key that I have given you, I know you're not going to understand it. I know you're going to be upset with me. I know you got questions. Yeah, okay, I got you though. Trust me in this. And that's exactly what you did. And as you said, you sat there and you felt like your world around you was burning, was coming down. Listen, there's a part of some things that was burning and coming down.
Yes.
Those things that your husband left with, God said, let me burn this down.
Yes.
Let me get rid of these things, because when I bring him back to you, I need him to come to you whole. I need him to come to you knowing why he's coming back. Not just because the people are telling me that I should go back, that's your wife, you guys been doing this. No, no, no. I need you to go back with purpose. I need you to go back with intent. I need you to go back knowing that you are the head, you're not the tail, that you're protecting, that you are covering, that you should be loving her like Christ loved the church. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you know that. And I need you to be obedient in that, because she just showed you, she just showed you me. You did, I'm going to tell you, Itzel, you represented and represented God to your husband. You represented him because of how you stood in all of it, but you represented him when he lost faith. Somebody said that she said, your faith has made you whole. So your faith was representing who God was to your husband, because he didn't want to hear anything about God. Don't pray with me in the morning, which were the things that you guys were doing every morning, right? So when we say that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and to destroy, he will come and do that when we allow him to. And sometimes it's the husband that's the weaker vessel, and many times it's the wife that's the weaker vessel. But the enemy know which one to attack. And in this case, he attacked your husband, right? And then he tried to attack your mind. And then he tried to have you go off on our Father.
Exactly. Yeah.
But God understood that. He knew that you would ask him all of those questions. But guess what it does? It helped him to represent who he was. Like, I'm showing you who I am. I know you don't see it. I know you're looking at it from a different lens, because the lens you're looking at it from was what you saw at home growing up. So now you're feeling, I knew it, just like I thought. Here I am being a fool, trying to switch and change. I should have believed what I saw growing up. And God is saying, no.
Like, no, you don't see yet what I'm doing, but you will understand later. And that verse was, I forgot right now, God's reminding me of when he was being cold with me. I felt God tell me to wash his feet. And I did that. Remember, I think I texted you and I told you, like, God just told me to do this. This is weird. Like, but I did it. And he was so like confused. Like, why are you doing this? Like, you don't have to do it. And I'm like, just let me do it. God told me to do it. And I'm just doing it for God. And I felt like God telling me, like, you don't understand what I'm doing right now, but later on you will understand. Right. And so I felt like God came through in that moment, and he taught me how to trust him even more. Because at first, like, I got furloughed from my job in March of last year. So I was already home alone, like, with my mind and my thoughts. And then this happens with my husband, and then he leaves. So I already felt like a failure because my job was like, I wasn't working. I didn't have my husband anymore. Like that's the only role I really felt like I had in my life, you know, like a
Yeah.
wife. I've always felt like the black sheep of my family. So I felt like being a wife, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this right, you know? And then when this wasn't working out, I just kept feeling those childhood words coming up, like, you're a failure, you're no good, you're not enough. You see, you can't even keep your man, you know, like just crazy things that I was battling. And I just felt God keep reminding me I'm working. And I just know now without a doubt, even if it doesn't look like what I think it should look like, I trust that he's working, you know, like I believe that he's still restoring my husband. He's still building him up. He's still like healing him from the inside out, you know. And we both jumped into the step study with Celebrate Recovery, and he finished it with the men. So that took about like 10 months. So we were really being refined. And really, like, God was just sifting out things from our soul that we've been carrying. And he's like, it's not, this is not meant for you to be carrying, you know, like that was old stuff. And now I'm healing you and I'm creating a new space so you guys can grow and flourish, you know, because I just felt like this was never ending, you know. And like you said about looking through the lens of pain, that's what God was showing me last night when I was thinking about my thoughts about today's conversation. Like I was looking through the lens of pain for a long time, which is why I couldn't love and cherish my husband correctly, because I was just like always I was a professional record keeper, you know, and I'd be like, I forgive him, but I'd still keep it in the file cabinet back here. Like, okay, Lord, he brought this up, like, you know, or he did this back then. And I always just felt like he had the tendencies to do it back then. Why wouldn't he do it now? But the enemy was he knew where to hit me in my mind, you know? And once God started really showing me, like, you know what, I got you through the worst of times and look where you are now. Like, now I just honestly feel that verse, like, if God is with me, who can be against me? Like, come at me, Satan. Like, I want you to try, because God has already reminded me and shown me my identity through Christ. And I know who I am. I know whose daughter I am. I know that he made my husband and I for a purpose, and that's why he's attacked us for so long. And we are finally waking up to be able to glorify God's name with our marriage, with our history, with our, you know, the pain. Like, the pain is never in vain, because we're constantly growing and we're using it for God's glory, and he uses all things for his glory and his purpose. So I'm like, all right, God, whatever, as ugly as it may be, as you know, I'm not even embarrassed of it now. I'm like just grateful that God got me through, and I'll forever be grateful that he brought us through, and he continues to, you know, in the season of like, I'm not sure what my job's going to be next, or where I'm going to go, or what am I going to do, or, you know, are we going to live with my parents forever? Like, you know, we have goals, and we know that there's so many more deeper levels that we haven't experienced as husband and wife yet. And I'm holding on to God's promises, you know, and thinking like it's going to happen. And this is just a season.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I want you to know that everything, and you said it a couple of times, but everything that you and your husband have experienced, and I'm even going to go back prior to even being married, but everything that you experienced, even in your childhood, was for a time such as this.
Yes.
So all of that needed to happen in order for you to even be prepared, for you to be able to speak the words that you are speaking today. Yes. So although it looked like your husband was in a place and he was like, okay, what's going on with him? God may have, let's just say, maybe God allowed that to happen so that he could work some things out within you. There's some things that he needed to pull out of you. And you talked about the sifting. When we sift things, the things that need to be kept inside are kept. The things that need to be extracted are extracted, right? And God said, the only way that I am going to be able to use her for my glory is if I am pulling, if I let the wheat and the tares grow together, and then I pull the things. Let me do the plucking, right? Because many times we will say this needs to go and that needs to go, and God said, not yet, not yet, not yet. That is going to be used for something. I need that. That's going to be used for my glory. Leave that there. They have to be there for another year, another 2 years, 3 years, 2 months, right? And we're like, oh, we're so impatient, right? And it says that love is patient. We're so impatient. We're ready. We like the popcorn, the microwave marriage. We want it to be ready already right now, right? Once I say I do and I leave this altar, we want it to be perfect. And God is saying, but there's some things I need you to experience. Otherwise, why do you need me? If everything is going to be perfect, why do you need me? The same way I had to trust my Father, God, while I was on that cross. The same way I sat there and I put those nails in my hands, my feet, thorns in my head, my side, all of that, crown on my head, all of those things I had to do, still knowing, right, that you all were going to go through the things that you were going to go through. I'm asking you to go through these things in your marriage as a woman, as a husband, but knowing that on the other side of this thing, it's for my glory, but I'm going to bring you through this thing as if you've never been touched, right? Because this is our opportunity to show and share who God and who Jesus Christ is, right? This is our opportunity to represent and to represent the relationship that Christ had with the church. Christ loved the church even through our mess. Girl, these last 18, 19 months of this pandemic, people have turned their back on Christ. Like, if there is a God, then why? Why are we here, right? And God said, I need folk like you, Excel. I need folk like Tam to represent me in marriage, to represent me with your money, to represent me with how you speak to people. The smallest things that we take for granted, sometimes we don't look at doing God or representing God in those things, right? Getting to work on time, getting up in the morning, cooking breakfast for your husband. You're representing God to your husband. You're representing God. That's you representing God. Even when he don't know it, right? So me getting to work on time and before time is me representing God. Me making sure that my credit is good is me representing God, right? It's so many things that we think. We put God in this box and say that when we're inside of the church walls, that's when we're supposed to do that. And God is like, how often was Jesus inside those four walls? Like, no, get out there on them streets and show who I am. So I appreciate you for even, sharing the information that you shared, the ups and downs that you and your husband had to endure, and understanding that that may not even be it. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, it will be something else. First of all, the enemy is extremely mad with you right now. He's upset that you said yes, and that you are having the opportunity to share the goodness of God, right? Because he's jealous. And so he is going to try to throw all kinds of things at you. But I'm speaking to you with love, and I'm asking you, I'm challenging you to continue to stand, to continue to cherish your husband, to love him through good, through bad, the ups, the downs, when you see it, when you don't see it, when you understand it, when you don't understand it, when you want to, when you don't want to, when you're tired, when you're rested. I am challenging you to continue to do what you've been doing. You don't have to recreate the wheel. Just keep moving on the wheel. You don't have to take any new medicine. Continue to take the medication that God has already given you. When we go to the hospital room, when we go to ER and we are admitted into the hospital, and then we are released, 9 times out of 10, they give us some medication and they say, take as needed, right? So God is releasing you. He has discharged you, right? In that particular situation. He has discharged you, but he's also sent you home with some medication, sis. And he said, take as needed. And if he told you to take this 2 times a day, which means if he said pray in the morning and pray in the night, don't stop until he tells you to. If he says take this medication once a week, don't stop until he tells you to. Because this is the thing that's going to keep you and help you to maintain where you're at right now. This love for God, like I see the zest, I see it. It's all over you. It's all over you as a wife. And I say thank you for representing our Father the way that you are. I'll be honest with you. So people will look at you, they will like, oh, she got all those tattoos, and they will automatically begin to judge you and not know who you are.
Yeah.
So I want you, because somebody needs to see this right here, though. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You got some folks that's like, no, I need to see her, like, she about it.
Yeah.
That's the truth right there. And then you got some folks that's looking at us like, why do they have their arms out? Why does she have on lipstick? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everybody need a certain thing, right? And so God has given us things inside of us and right at our fingertips to help show and share who he is. So do not change. Don't change for anyone but God, whatever he tells you to do. So I want to ask you if there was anything that you could leave for our viewers, for those that are going to come back to view, in regards to loving and cherishing your spouse. Your husband in particular, I think this one was going in the books for the wives. Your husband in particular, if there's anything that you could share for them to do, what would that be?
For their husbands?
Yeah.
I think the best thing would be try to see him as God's son, and see him the way that God sees him. And if you don't have eyes to see him the way that God sees him, ask God, I want to see him the way that you see him, Lord. Soften my heart in the areas that I'm just like, I want to wring his neck, because sometimes they can be fleshy too, and then just if we get snappy and we're just like, I don't know if you know who you're talking to,
Yeah.
but remembering that they are also healing and they may not know how to express themselves because they grew up. I mean, for my husband, I know he grew up, they put that title of you're the man of the house because he grew up with sisters, but it's like a little boy should not be the man of the house. He shouldn't have that like that role at such a young age. He needs to be a kid, and so from a young kid he had to, like, he didn't have a childhood because he was trying to figure out how to take care of his sisters and his mom because his dad wasn't in the picture, and the mom didn't allow the dad to be in the picture. So there was just so many things that it's like, if you stop and just think, like, what was his childhood like, and what did he battle with, and Lord, show me what he's battling so I can pray and rebuke that. Because as wives, we have an authority that we don't always realize, that our prayers are the ones that change things, that shift the energy. Our prayers are the ones that manifest what we want to see. So if you're complaining, if you're constantly calling out the negative, if you're constantly bringing down your man, that's why he is the way he is, because you're not uplifting him. You're not showing him who God is through your words, through your love, through your light, So if you're in your word and you're filling yourself up with God's presence, that's what's going to come out flowing into your marriage, into your man. And that's what's going to pick his head up and remember, oh, dang, I am a king. I am the leader. I need to walk in my stance, and I can tell that that's been the difference in my husband. Like, I used to constantly bring him down, constantly remind him of his mess ups of the past, and he was always walking with his head down, and now I'm like surprised and shocked at the woman I am. Like, I haven't brought up the past. I've been like, and when I see things that don't make me so happy, or when he acts a certain way, I'll pray about it before I talk to him, and just, God, give me the grace, or help me say the right words at the right time. I don't want to just be blabbing and just like saying a lot and just making noise, and just I want to have, like, I want to pierce his heart with my words in a good way, and may he be like, God, is that you? Or, feeling that conviction from God and not condemnation, because what did condemnation do to us as we were growing up? We just kind of like pushed us away. So it's like, we got to look at the same thing with our husbands, like, instead of condemning them, have a safe space for them to want to come and talk to you and tell you how they're feeling when they're low, when they're not their best, and have that, like, encouragement from their wife. Like, I know I can count on my wife to pick me up, or because they are the strong men. They are the ones that have to have it all together. Sometimes they feel like they have a big role, but it's okay for them not to be okay, and for you to pray for them, and have that communication open, so that way the love and the grace goes both ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of it is, like you said, it's trauma based responses.
For
you
sure.
know? So it's childhood traumas that what wisdom will do is have you do exactly what you just said. It will have you take a look at it. It would have you go to God with it and ask him to give you what you need to help him understand that you're there to build and not to tear him down, right? And not only that, that you actually build and not tear him down. As you said, there were times where you were just constantly reminding him, and not intentionally, but that was pre-wisdom,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So once you became wise and you understood the effects of it, then you began to change your language and
Yeah.
that changed the trajectory of
Yeah.
how he felt about being a man. Because what he felt about being a man as a child was, I can't do this, I'm too young. But because that has been the theme of his life as a husband, I can't do that. I don't have this. I
Right.
don't have that. I don't have this. So he began to he began to rewind those things in
Yeah.
his head, which is what the enemy wanted him to do, because he understands that there's power in numbers, and he knows the importance of the relationship between a husband and a wife. And
Yeah.
so if he could get you, the stronger spiritual vessel, to speak death to the marriage, then he's got it. He's like,
Right.
I'm winning, and I don't even need to bother them anymore because they're doing a good job. I'm going to go ahead and go over here to, this marriage over here where one of them seems to be a little stronger in their word or what have you. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everything that you just shared about love and cherishing and loving your king, your husband, building him up, not tearing him down. It's spot on. It's dead on what we need to be doing as wives, and knowing your power in prayer, and
Yeah.
that God has given you the oil for
Yeah.
the man that he has created for you.
Yeah.
And that's the question. Now, is that the husband that you chose, or is that the husband that God chose for you? And God has, we have choices. So we can say, yes, I want him, or no, I don't want him. And both of them come with something.
Yeah.
But God is going to, once you get committed to that thing, and once you say, I do, right? Once God is going to honor your I do. And so what he give you for that, you have to use it. You have to be faithful with it, right? And so all of what you shared, all of what you said was Bible. And I thank you so much. I appreciate you for being the woman that you are. I am grateful that you are here with me today to share this. This was an amazing discussion. It was necessary. It was needed. I said before we actually started interviewing that I'm feeling some type of way about ending this series, because next week is the last. I mean, well, in 2 weeks, it's the last one. Till death do us part, and I have a widow that will be on and talking to us, women, husbands, wives, men, about appreciating while you still have it.
Yes.
Because once it's gone, all you have is the I should have, I could have, I would have, if I should have, if I. All you have are those, right? And so she's gonna come and say, "Hey, listen, take it from me. There's some things that pick and choose your battles wisely. It wasn't really worth it."
Yeah.
And I think that's a good vein to come from. And so we're going to wrap it up kind of with that. But then after that, you guys, I have two young adults in their early 20s, like I think 22 and 23, or 23 and 24, that are going to come, and they're going to talk about the vow and I do from a younger view.
Ooh.
So they're going to come from what they've seen at home and what they actually believe, what they would do different, what they would do the same. Neither of them are married. And so I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion with this topic, the vow series. And so, again, I am grateful. Thank you so much for coming on. To my guests, for those of you who are here, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your comments. Those of you who are going to come back for the replay, you guys, make sure you share this video out. I think this was an amazing discussion that everyone needs to hear. Whether you are married, you're divorced, you're about to be married, you desire to be married, I think there was something said tonight that will help us go to the next level and just our love for Christ, right? Yeah. And so I say thank you. I love you, sis. And we got to do lunch soon.
Yes, I love you so much, and I'm so grateful for you. And you are exactly where God wants you, and the way that you are open and honest and sharing your experience is just, I know it's blessing the kingdom, and you're you're doing the work. So God
Thank you
bless
so
you,
much.
and I love you. And yes, let's
I
do
love
some
you too.
lunch soon.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye,
Bye.
you guys.